call meeting to order.
I'll have to call the Board of Trustees to order and welcome everybody.
Welcome. I gotta make sure I got the right agenda here. Okay.
Well, it says call for trustees first, so
Yeah.
number 3, roll call by recording secretary, Board of Trustees.
Ermeling,
Here.
Feeney,
Here.
Maloney,
Here.
Minell,
Here.
White,
Here.
John, Ziegler,
Here. And then just a note that, that Ziegler should be VP from now on there. So,
Okay.
and I could talk to Sherry too. Okay. Finance?
Roll call for second.
okay. All right, Bender,
Here.
Ermeling,
Here.
Minell,
Here.
Simmons,
Here.
Ziegler,
Here. Okay, now, because this technically, I know it's a joint meeting, but it's technically
It's your time.
finance.
Yeah.
You
All
know,
right, yep.
and the board is in with
You
it,
can
so
take the
I
lead.
just wanna
Yep.
make sure
No.
we're doing this.
I
you
am
know.
totally good to go. You give me puzzles.
Okay, approve the minutes of the previous joint meeting of the village board and finance committee, that would be finance people.
Move to approve.
That would be finance.
No, finance, oh, okay.
And then you would do the
Yep.
village.
I'll do
okay.
it afterwards,
I'll
sorry.
move to approve.
Motion by Simmons.
I'll second it.
by Bender. On the question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Same motion for the Board of Trustees, looking for approval.
Motion to approve. Second.
Let's see, we have a motion by Ziegler and a second by Feeney on the discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Public comments? Anyone on Zoom for this one? Okay. Acknowledge work product transmittals. I don't see any on the agenda. Educational presentations and reports. Review and discussion of 2021 budget.
okay, we got a PowerPoint for you this one.
Just real quick, who's handling Zoom? You?
So Nate had it, I was just gonna chime in.
Okay.
On Zoom, it is Nate Crow, Jennifer Higgins, Keith Donner, Sherry Weinkoff, and Trustee Jolly is on Zoom.
Oh, yes, okay. So you have that? Okay, thank you.
Jessica, is your microphone on? Thank you.
Okay, here is the draft budget hearing notice that we're looking at presenting. And it's made up of all the numbers that we have current. Right now, our assessed tax rate is looking at $7.25. The state has not sent out the final statement of assessment yet. And so we will be, all final numbers will not be ready until that is happened. We'll not be able to give you a really good tax rate. We're a little bit hesitant right now. So, summary, general fund. The general fund is the operating fund of the budget. It accounts for all financial resources that the village has that is not accounted for in any other fund. The principal source of revenue is property taxes and state aids. Here's a quick summary. We're looking at a 2.4% increase over last year. We are anticipating a surplus of $258,000 in 2020, 37 from revenues and 221 from expenditures. As you remember, last time we got together, we actually kind of detailed where those funds were actually coming from. Total increase in the 21 budget is 2.4, and it should allow us to meet our expenditure restraint requirements. There's the general fund with the changes and decreases. So the board salary increase effective for the next elected officials approval. I talked with Mark earlier today. We did budget a full year increase in this number. One of the reasons that why we like to do that, knowing that it's coming back year after year, is to make sure that we don't have to find that much more additional funds last year. Originally, we were gonna budget the full increase for all board members, but it gave us a little bit more budget wiggle room, doing a more accurate budget by budgeting 4 members next year and then the other 3 the year after that. The court has not yet adopted their budget yet. They're looking at doing that tomorrow, and neither has Everson Metro. There's a decrease in elections and newsletters. This is reflected in the clerk's budget of a negative $18,000. The street increase budget of $68,000 has an increase of $50,000 for street maintenance, $36,000 in winter maintenance, and $8,000 for street maintenance. And the reason why you don't see the full increase there is because there are other lines that have decreased. As mentioned before, in the Parks Department, the street guys are working there less, so that's why we budgeted less time there. You see a decrease of $27,000 there. We have a new employee for planning and development. We have a new employee that has taken on family health instead of single. That's still a large increase in that department. And the final one for contingency, the wages have been allocated to the appropriate departments. We're still looking at budgeting $25,000 for merit increases, and the balance of that 25 is going to be in miscellaneous contingencies we use for whatever we want. Any questions on this nice summary?
And it is a nice summary. Yes, it is.
Well, we have all the detail in the packet, but obviously I don't like going through that because if you don't look at numbers on a daily basis, the numbers can get very overwhelming. Yes?
I know you've had this information before, but what does it cost us to put out the newsletter? I listened to the building committee. A lot of the comments were, granted, they were, how should we say, people with gray hair, that they missed the newsletter. The fact that it only came out 1 year. And I know we've gone back and forth on this on a regular basis, of should we or shouldn't we? So I just thought I'd throw that out there for discussion in case.
I think that's a great comment because, you know, that was a group of people that aren't normally here. And to hear them all say that that is the one piece that they actually read. And, you know, we all thought we could save some money, and I remember talking about it, that, oh, who reads it? Well, apparently a lot of people read it. You know, they put it on the refrigerator, they look at all the department stuff in there, and we probably erred there, and we need to get that back going. And Barbie, you were on the call too, for the
Right.
building, and I, especially with this building project. So-
Jessica.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So this year we had $20,000 budgeted, and I believe that was for a quarterly newsletter, so that would have been for 4 of them.
Okay.
That would be good.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to do it more than that.
No.
Yeah, that's $20,000 for 4 newsletters.
For 4 issues?
So another thing that we want to point out, we do issue a refuse and recycling newsletter, which we could add another page into that for any village stuff. And we also send out tax bill inserts, which goes to every single taxpayer in the village, which we could add more to that. I mean, we have different resources to reach our taxpayers, which we could just use that a little bit more. Like in our utility bills, granted it's only those that get a utility bill, but we can also reach a lot of our taxpayers that way. We can send one extra 8x11, 8.5x11 with those utility bills for the cost of printing the 8.5x11 paper.
I will use some of that utility bill and look over the tax bills to direct people to other sources of information because maybe they're not aware of them. So if you send something on paper that says, look here for information, I feel that all you can do is let people know where that information could be available.
That's true.
Do you have any idea when the state will send out their equalized value numbers?
So equalized is it's the assessed value. So I can
Thank
tell
you.
you the equalized rates and
Assess.
we jumped up our assessment ratio to 0.86 right now. We dropped from 0.9 to 0.86. We're 2 years into where I think it's a max of 5 years, and we need to get a reval. It definitely needs to be a discussion. Greg already touched base with me, he said we need to start talking about this. And I was just on a phone call with other finance directors from cities throughout the state of Wisconsin. It was a week municipal call, and we have municipalities that are getting revalues every few years. The village of Weston has not got a revalue since 2007.
2007, yeah.
Tweaks here and there, but one of the main things that they really talked about was the fairness issue. The good thing with revaluation, it gets into these properties or communication with these property owners that maybe they fixed it up and maybe it's a lot nicer and the house is worth a lot more and they may not be paying their fair share of that assessed value if they didn't get an increase. It's just one way to look at it, and then those that maybe their house can be valued a little bit because they're not taking care of it and their tax rate's still up there and have a different ways to look at it.
Yeah, Barb?
I know we've had this discussion many times about doing a on-site reevaluation as far as are we gonna pay for it by finding things that have been done and haven't been permits for? I know one of our surrounding communities did that and they found a lot. And it's my understanding the excess more than paid for the reevaluation. Or is that kind of a?
That will work here in the village. I mean, the village has been pretty active with building permits and just, I don't know, a little bit more.
Okay.
We should ask that question again. Because I remember we dabbled with it a little bit on, what
Well,
the fee
it was-
is from Greg versus what the outcome was.
Or if we
And-
don't, I mean, eventually you're gonna fall so far behind, the state's gonna say, this is what it is, and
That's
we aren't gonna have a choice.
exactly, and that's what we don't.
Because they don't live here, they don't know our property
I
values.
think the last time we did it, we just did a valuation increase over
General.
general, we didn't go house by
Well,
house.
Greg actually, I think he did outside in 2007 right before I got here.
Barb?
Keith has his hand up in Zoom.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
okay, Keith?
I have my hand up, I don't know, I'm kind of late here, so I almost gonna go back to the newsletter discussion.
Wow.
As Lauren pointed out, I think that there was the comment made at the building committee meeting. Is everybody hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess my observation on the newsletter is that a lot of topics aren't that timely, but maybe we want to think about once every 6 months instead of every quarter or something like that. I guess, as we talk about the building project though, I think that the sentiment was that we were going to put out a special newsletter for that may come out, say, monthly for a while. And that would pay for out of the project
Right,
budget.
out of the project budget, yeah.
A significant cost. But in that respect, it would give us a significant cost. I guess it seems to have a more significant impact than our operating budget, obviously.
Sounds like it's $5,000.
Just my 2 cents worth on that one.
Okay,
Have we,
any
I'll
questions?
say it's very weird being on a meeting like this, or participating or trying to participate in a meeting like this on Zoom.
Oh, come on, Keith.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead,
It sounds like you're right here.
yeah.
Back to
Ryan?
business.
have we looked at doing an electronic transmittal of it? I
We
mean,
used to do,
Weekly.
yeah, weekly.
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, where taxpayer, where anybody in the community can subscribe to it for, as an email one.
Do we
And
still do that?
I think we stopped.
if we do, we don't advertise it or we don't post anywhere where you can get it.
Or even on the building committee one, have it electronically and not send out.
Right, we're, that way, if
And
we're,
to let people know where to find the information.
yeah, and if we're gonna do a month, or if you wanna do a monthly one for the building thing, that would cut back on cost, but allow the information to get out there.
Yes.
called the Weston Wire, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Yes, the Weston Wire.
And then
Oh,
they
that just-
renamed the
it took me
actual
that long to
paper as
remember.
Weston Wire.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I said, wasn't it Brian Burrell? What is his last name? I can't-
Bushnell.
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 Did he say something about though that he didn't see anybody reading it?
He didn't think, where he lives, he didn't see that, but Aaron Nelson with the DC Everest and Mort McVeigh were very big on that, especially Mort. And well, and Aaron Nelson. Aaron Nelson said that, I mean, he just relied on it, you know, with all the different services and.
I think it just has to be a combination of cost versus.
Right, yeah.
Maybe some of it becomes electronic, and as long as, because I don't think, like on the building committee, I don't think that, or on the building, I don't think there's anything out there right now.
No,
Right now.
there's not.
Right.
So that's where it's like, you can make it electronic, but right now, we don't even have that.
Right.
And if you make it electronic, then some sort of paper notice or something, let people know where to find it.
Well,
Get
I-
that out in your tax bill.
When I subscribed to that, I used to get an email every time notifying me that there was a new edition available. And you could actually go to the link from your email. So you could subscribe to that. And the thing that we're always kind of forgetting about is people that don't have the internet, which is very few, or aren't savvy enough to use
Yeah.
it. I mean, that's just the way it is, but the question is how much of our population are we missing by not having it in hand in paper? That's a toss-up.
Yeah,
Bob?
yeah, and you're right, Lauren, in the fact that there are people that don't have internet, but there are probably more people that don't have internet than what you really think.
Right.
And that has come more prevalent, especially with some of the schools finding out how many kids do not have access. This means not only the students, but their parents also do not have access. And so that is an issue, as well as the fact that if we do something for the building thing, I would say is that first we need to get something out there in paper with a notification that it's all going to be available online or something to that effect. And if we want to do something on our newsletter that way, that would be the same way type of thing. Notify them that we're going to, if you want to opt out of, say, the paper one, that you turn around somehow do that, because that would save us money on mailing costs, et cetera.
Yeah, we gotta educate them.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people out there that don't even know that we're building a building.
Oh, no, there's a tremendous amount, yeah.
Right.
We haven't talked about it, we stalled it because of COVID. A lot of things, yeah. It's been going on since.
One thing that this is kind of off topic, but that one of the people made the comment was that we don't even have a sign
Right.
by that property, and I thought, that's right, we don't. Future home of, whatever. And I thought we were gonna tear that building down, okay.
Yeah, that's happening, it's been stalled, and, I know, isn't, Keith, aren't you working on the demolition side?
Yes.
Okay,
Spectre, a bid package for the demolition is being prepared.
right.
I don't know what the specific date is, I can.
Well, I thought John, with Cooney Architects was looking at that, yep.
But I just, that was my thought too, is, yeah, you're right, we don't even have it. That would, at least would let people go,
Right.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay.
Anything else on?
So I'll move on to the special revenue funds.
Mm-hmm.
Special revenue funds are funds that we accumulate monies that are for a specific purpose. The first one is refuse and recycling. You know how much changes here? Garbage rates, same as last year. We did budget an increase from advance, I think it was 2 or 3%. So we did do that because diesel isn't over 4. The contract states that diesel's over 4, they can go up even more. But at this point, we did not budget for that. The other financing uses line that you see in there, that is a transfer to debt service for the lease equipment. Next year is the last lease payment for the refuse and recycling fund.
So, with a 4% increase in diesel,
No, for us, if it's over $4.
$4.
Over $4 on increase, for 7 years, they can go 2 or 3% increase, right? You just said?
I don't think our contract, so the contract states that it's either 2 or 3% increase that they can do.
Right,
Which is CPI, so
Right.
it's based on CPI, but if diesel goes over 4, we'll have a surcharge.
okay.
So,
I think we need to look at that contract. It's, we have 6 more years coming. And they closed that whole site, which they put money in to actually man that site or woman that site, take care of it. Then all the recycling went to crap and they couldn't collect on it, like a lot of places have done, but they closed it. And now you gotta go by hand and do it. So the money they saved there, I believe we have to go after that and see if some of that can come back to the village. I really do. We can't, that's an awful lot of savings for them to not share that with the village, so. Just my thought. I'll have that on a agenda item in the future.
And maybe have to check it out too, ask for numbers.
Well, I know Harder's had $25,000 in there at least every year to have to do something like that, to be able to match that with the contract. So it's in the contract and it's now pulled out. I would actually think the contract may be void. So anyway, that's for a different discussion.
Go ahead.
Well, the next fund is TIP 1. Our TIP is continuing to do very well. The state has increased our equalized value again. The estimated increment is $5.8 million. We don't know this for sure. We need the tax levy from our other taxing jurisdictions, Maritime County School District and Technical College, to get a concrete number here. So it's not there yet, but at this time, it's $5.8 million. We have administration of $300,000. We have debt payment, which is the lease expense to the CDA of 1.5, and our repayment to the LLC. So that's the crossroads of $500,000 payment. It's from that lawsuit that we had a couple of years ago. We only have one more payment after that. And so we're looking at an estimated fund balance of $6.3 million. Any questions on TIF?
Anybody have comments? Okay.
Okay, CDA TIF 1. This account keeps track of our lease revenue bonds. So you can see that there's revenue coming in from the special revenue TIF, and it goes straight out to debt. The amount that's in there is the amount that's required to stay in there as our CDA reserve. So 1.6 has to stay in there per bond code. TIF number 2. So we have $37,000 budgeted for a lien fund sign. The fund balance continues to grow as we determine the projects that we'll need to undertake to improve the TIF district number 2. Any questions on TIF 2?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So at the end of the life of TIF 2, if there's money in the fund balance, that just goes back to the general fund? Or do we have to
No.
spend it before it closes?
So the fund balance of $578,000, you hope that's going to be zero at the end. Or else that has to go, well, it doesn't matter. If you don't have a use to improve and do what the project plan says for TIF district number 2, you have to give it back to other taxing jurisdictions.
What?
Okay.
Other
Yeah.
taxing district, okay.
School district,
Wow.
county, and
As well as what portion is actually yours also.
Yeah, you get to keep your.
Your portion,
Right.
okay.
But you would be able to use it for repairing the road,
Yes.
sidewalks
Yeah.
Right.
in that district.
Right.
we can even use it for, as far as I understand it, so if we have a project, a company that wants to come in and qualifies for the but-for clause,
Right,
we can provide funds. So, funds to like demolish a building, those kind of issues. Or if we find out that there's some soil contamination and they need some help in doing the remediation.
That would have to look to see if that's part of the TIF plan. I might be getting the land ready.
Okay,
I won't do that, but-
okay.
It can also be used for a TIF radius, so it may not have to be in the TIF district, but in the radius, so like a 2-mile radius around the TIF, you can use it for that also.
It's actually a half mile, right?
Okay, half mile. I said radius, there we go.
It's okay, I'll bet, it's not a problem. Just want to make sure it's clear.
Thank you. This is CBA tip number 2. So this keeps track of all of the CBA revenue bonds for TIF district number 2. The budget is what you see is what's required to be in there for our bond covenants. You see the money's coming in from special revenue TIF 2 and then going out to bonds. So the aquatic center. We weren't sure how to budget the revenues here. We let Sean have at it with the expenditures and then we kind of guesstimated with the revenues. Not sure how it will come out. We got tax levy of $40,000 coming into the aquatic center. So all the fees we're projecting at $128,000 and our transfer in from room tax of $40,000. More interesting, I guess, we just take a look at our estimate right now. It shows our revenues of $158,000, expenses of $168,000. We'll end up using a fund, about $10,000 of the fund balance for the aquatic center. That's our best guess estimate. We're still waiting for utility bills coming in for that. Obviously, moving forward, this one is going to be a hit or miss. Maybe we'll come back and tell you that we need to amend the budget, or we may not be doing this. Room tax, so we just talked about this at the last meeting. The estimated room tax. And then we still have the tourism promotion payout and the amount that the village gets to keep of $93,000.
Well, in the discussion with the room tax commission, there was, in fact, from Elliot, said that most of the hotels are predicting at least a 30%, and we've cut 15% off our revenue?
Yes, that's something we can...
I'm thinking it would be prudent to try to match what the hotels are telling us.
Okay.
I know it's not money, it's not technically money out of our taxpayers' pocket, but being a high-class accountant, you generally want to budget close to what you're going to get, so you don't have these big differences. So I think we might want to be a little more conservative in how much we're going to predict.
In other words, sandbag, yes.
Pardon me?
Yeah, sandbag. You want to sandbag, you want to do 30 instead of 15.
You
So-
used 2020 though, with your average,
We did.
which was down more than the 30% this year, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And they all work.
So
I mean,
think
go
that
ahead.
was part of why we did the 85 too,
Right.
was because the average was already accounting for that decrease this year. So that already drug the average down quite a bit. In the packet, I put the spreadsheet for like the estimate so you can
Right.
see how the averages came out and what percentages were used in there. But, I mean, we could drop it if you want it dropped. I'm indifferent. It was just the optimistic, maybe it will recover a little bit. We know we're not gonna be back where we were.
But it's better
over
to
400.
have more than less.
Right.
Another way to look at it, we know that we didn't budget much for our CIP for using these funds. Yeah, we're just optimistic. That'd be a little bit.
Right.
It's not like if we underestimate revenue and we get more, that money's going to go away.
Or that a lot of it comes our way anyway.
Right.
At least 30% of it.
Right.
All 35 and then 25 for the area, yeah.
So,
What would be a better guesstimate?
Well, so we approved it, and I mean, it all depends on what all happens, politically or whatever. But we are giving the CVB right now 45%, and we're the highest of any municipality here. I think the closest one was 37%. So we'll see where this goes in there. But from 15 to 30, who knows if the hotels are right? So.
But what Elliot was saying, they have no big tournaments or
It's the weddings, the tournaments, the sports, it's all that
and
stuff. The business travel, I mean, there's some that aren't business traveling, but there's also a lot that are, I mean, you are, you know, we are, yeah.
I'd feel more comfortable with a 30% decrease if for no other reason to keep it
Yeah.
in touch with what
Yep.
the industry is expecting.
I would agree, I'd rather be lower than
So you
higher.
want 30% less than off of what? Like, we averaged it, do you want another average, or do you want to just take last year's and do less?
Looking at 20 or 19 last year? 19 as of last
You
year?
want to look at last year's actual and then take less?
19 last year?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's very doable. I mean, that might even be 15 of what this is, so if you look at 19 and take 30 off, yeah, I think that's probably gonna be what you're gonna do. I think you have to throw 20 away for any budgeting purpose and look at 19 for
Yeah.
any increase for 21.
Because 20 was so
Yep.
goofy, the
20, yeah.
first quarter was good, and
No,
then after
nobody's
that,
looking at
everything
20
fell.
for any budgeting purposes. Everybody's going back to 19 to see what they did for 20, and
You
then,
have to also remember, we budget low every year.
yep, okay.
So if you take the actual and do 30%, you might be right where we're at.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay,
Well, we'll
Yeah,
have to
it
see.
comes to 131,000 versus your 115.
okay.
So like $15,000
No, I was
difference.
looking at the holiday Express.
So you're at 115?
I take it back.
Oh,
I was on the wrong column. Holiday Express.
and Holiday Inn went through a pretty major remodel in 19, right? They got finished before the COVID.
Right.
I think Elliot's comment too about the Fairfield Inn is tied to the hospital, and of course, they're not doing as many elective things, and there's not many
Well,
families.
Ryan had said that it is tied very heavily to the hospital.
Well,
Yeah,
they switched
We don't
over
have
down to
normal
emergency.
procedures.
yeah, yeah. You're right, the hospital's not using it, yeah.
You're at 409, and if you take 70% of what was collected in 2019, it's 329.
I got 349.
So
Maybe I'm
our
wrong.
proposed budget is at 311.
Right. We're 311 versus 340.
Right.
Mhm.
There's 30,000 difference.
So you're looking
Want us to
at,
increase our budget to 340?
no.
No,
No,
Okay.
no.
I say
So,
leave it.
so I would say leave it because they're already
Yeah.
lower
yeah.
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
What do we
what the
expect?
70% would have been. So,
Okay.
so you're in good shape in theory.
Okay.
Okay, I'm easy to convince.
Oh, 219 was a pounder. We had the state championship, the whole
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
It was a very high average.
Yep, everywhere. Okay.
Okay, the other? All right, so we'll stick with this, I guess.
Yeah,
Good job.
2019 was way higher than the previous 2 years.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, however you want to look at it.
Right.
Never would have thought our first substantial discussion would have been on how much to cut the room tax
Right,
expectations by.
Okay.
Very true.
Okay, so we have a couple other littler funds, they're called our civic social. The civic social, we protect the farmer's market, so we collect the fees for those that are at the farmer's market. And then we have expense, the expense is pretty much the porta potty. We're looking at doing some maintenance next year to all the sites, so we did increase our budget from 7,000 to 14,000. We're gonna put in some new gravel and organize it. The Parkland Trust is all our donations, it also does our Parkland Trust fees, so a new subdivision, they have to pay park fees, that's where it goes. Yes,
Is this the fund where parkland dedication
Yeah.
money goes?
Yep.
yes,
It's my understanding that you have a certain timeline to spend that money? Is that correct?
I'm not sure. John says yes.
7 years.
I thought so.
Okay, are we coming up against, is it segregated, so if you get, say, $50,000 in 2017, is that prorated, or is it your entire fund for 7 years?
Or isn't the amount, I'm sorry to butt in here.
Go ahead.
Aren't the amounts in the trust right now also been collected for many years? I thought once we reestablish our parkland, we're talking about revising the parkland dedication fee, once we start doing that again, then we have to start tracking that with that 7-year time frame, or am I wrong on that?
You're correct.
No, you're right.
Well, that could be, that's an accounting nightmare.
Yeah, it's a, well, the
No, it's not.
dedication is the same thing. I mean,
Yeah, no, you just
most
flag it,
recent
yeah.
one was
Yeah.
just defined.
So, yeah, if we have a big subdivision come in and their park buy and dedication fee is like $50,000, so that would be in a separate account and that would sunset after 7 years, just that amount of money.
Right.
Am I understanding this
Yeah.
correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's not difficult to
No,
track.
you just
Okay.
track it, yeah.
That's right, you need 2 or 3 more accounts, right?
How long has that 7-year been, I mean, how long back has that been?
So,
We've had a park land dedication fee, well, the most recent revision to it was 2001, but otherwise prior to that, it was in the 90s.
And with the 7-year thing on spending? Have we ever missed spending any money?
No, not typically. Not.
There you go, okay.
That's, if it wanted to be Sean's fault.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
It's pretty easy to do right now. We have actually planned on, we have budgeted a part of a playground project being used out of the park land dedication fee, which would pretty much wipe out the account. We are talking about, like Keith mentioned, changing it to a park impact fee.
As a good example is Sandy Beach. I don't know what's it called now.
No way, yes.
Yellow Banks. I'm sorry, I've been here too long.
That changed 3 times.
Hey. See this hair, it used to be red.
currently, you can see we do have, the money in there separated. We have parkland dedication, we've got park rec donations, trail donations, Kennedy Park Memorial donations, and dog park donations. So we do keep track of our donations separately. Any questions on either of these 2 funds?
Questions, anyone? Comments?
Okay, the next is a debt service fund. We keep track of our general obligation bonds, notes, revenue bonds, and CBA bonds. And we also pay capital leases on here. So here's a quick summary for the 2021 budget, where total revenues are estimated at 3.4. Principal is going to be paid out 2.8. Interest is 575,000. We're looking at using some of our fund balance, 15,000 of our fund balance. As you can see in the property tax levy, we are looking at increasing our debt service levy, as was discussed before, about 20 cents added to the tax rate for debt service.
That doesn't fall under expenditure restraint program at all?
Nope.
No. Or our levy limit? Okay. There was a question at the building committee meeting about what is our total debt load? And I know it's all in different categories because we have stormwater utility, we have water utility, sewer, and all other things together. But at one time, I recall that our total debt capacity is quite high, and we're not using a lot of it. I think that was something the committee was interested in. I don't know if Mr. Don is going to bring that back at the next meeting or not.
Yeah, Keith did say he was gonna bring that back, for, Aaron Nelson and for several committee members, yeah.
And I think also what we have to do when he brings it back, to make sure that you're looking at just the village portion and not the
Utilities.
gifts or the utilities or anything, because that's completely separate from that.
Right, it doesn't hit our general obligations.
Doesn't hit
It's
our
a different. But I know the water and sewer is also backed by the village in case they default, as far as I understand it. So if those utilities
I think in
don't,
the bond documents, yes, there is some language in there. for
right,
that.
so if they don't pay for it, they go bankrupt, the village has to pay for it.
Right.
Yay. Okay, thank you.
Here's a summary of our total debt outstanding. We're looking at increasing it this year, and specifically in our GO tax funded debt, water, revenue bonds. And water's going up from 2.3 to 6.8 for the revenue bonds. So it does include the proposed.
Gina?
I just looked it up quick. Our debt limit is 67 million. So it's
Okay.
pretty high.
And our debt load, just the GO,
I
Just-
think there's a slide in here coming up for what we have out there
Okay.
in geodet right now.
Yeah, right
It's right there.
there. So 8.5 is
Yeah.
tax funded geotech.
Right.
I forget the wording, I think it is just geo-funded. I mean, even if it is total geodet, we have 11.9 that we're looking at compared to the 60.
Mm-hmm.
We're less than 20%.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick summary of what we have in there. So we have 2013, that's one of the oldest, it matures next year. A safer note for the safer equipment. That was taken out in 16. Our most recent geo note of 5.3 million. Here's our proposed geo issues, which we'll be approving the resolutions this evening at the board meeting. 2020 geo bond, so this is our proposed $5.4 million. And then we're looking at a 2020 C geo note with a proposed of $2.2 million. The bonds are 20 years. They are very restrictive of how you use them. The resolutions indicate that like $3 million has to go to streets, and $2 million goes to sewer, and $1 to stormwater. And that's something that staff needs to really look at, keep track, and make sure those bonds are spent as we said they will be spent. The note's more flexible, just various equipment for Park Street and safer.
Okay, any questions?
What's cost of money on that?
Very cheap. Currently, I think it goes from like 0.5 to 2.5 based on the years. I got the interest rates in there. You can see 0.5 to 2.3 for the 20-year bond, and then 0.5 to 1.4 for the 10-year note. We got 2 CDA revenue bonds left this year. One is TIP 2, so that's the 2004 B. And then the TIP 1 is the 2017A. We still have $15.8 million outstanding for the CBA, the 2017, and $690 for the TIP 2. Capital leases, by the end of this year, we will have no capital leases, and we will only have one lease left, which is our street sweeper lease. Right now, it's supposed to show that the 3 leases that have balances and where those monies are coming from. Utilities. Here's a proposed budget for the water utility. Estimating net income of $17,000 in 2020. Estimating a net loss of $22,000 in 2020. This is where last week at the Public Works meeting, we were talking about rate increases for the water utility. We need to do a good cost analysis to see what kind of rates would be necessary. We are looking at a simplified rate increase with which would cost nothing. You go to the PSC and you can automatically raise it a percentage with board approval. We cannot do that for a year after we implemented our last water rate increase. So that'll be a year from January. Sewer utility, estimating net income of $24,000 in 2020 and a net loss of $126,000 in 2021. Vermont Metro costs of $101,000 increase. And then we also have a new employee scheduled in the sewer utility, water utility, and the other 50% is going to be in the general fund. That would be a replacement for Brad that we're looking at doing. We talked about that before.
I'm sorry, how much is the anticipated loss for sewer? Thank you.
It's covered up.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how to move that. Yeah, 126.
26.
Yep. Okay, stormwater utility, estimated net income of $4,000 this year, and estimated net income of $14,000 per year. We do have study going on for looking at our rates, and getting us into a stormwater management program.
I have a question for Michael. So, some of these developments, in particular, the ones that, on
Eastgate.
Like that, their front portion, they have a stormwater, I would assume that's a stormwater retention area? Is that, do they do that to reduce their residential equivalent charges for their impenetrable surface areas?
No.
Or is that a requirement from?
Any land disturbance over an acre for DNR rules has to make sure that the new development doesn't exceed the existing development's contribution to the stormwater system. So they have to make sure that they reduce the suspended solids, so like on parking lots, any dirt, oil, sand that might be coming off a car, shingles, that material has to be kept on site, as well as flood control, so making sure that the water entering the stormwater system isn't more intense than prior to anything being built there.
Okay, so they don't get any credit for building that for our storm utility payments?
No, the only way to get credit would be to show that they aren't using our infrastructure at all.
Okay, thank you.
So that's I wondered that. So it's a 1 acre over.
Correct.
Then you have to do that kind of, okay, that's interesting, wow.
Yeah, that's the DNR code.
Yeah.
Again,
great.
something that someone other than the village, makes us do, or
Correct.
makes the developers do.
Mhm.
Yeah, capital projects funds, we recently, it wasn't that long ago, we were looking at the CIP plans. The capital project funds focus on those projects that affect the general levy. So that's what you're gonna see here in the next slides. Here are the streets and utility projects, Weston School, Crestwood School, Bryan Street, Water SCADA, and sewer lift station SCADA upgrade.
Mhm.
And we have quite a few updates for the pool, and the public safety improvements, and the municipal facilities building. 2022 projects.
Yeah.
Sorry, the PowerPoint slides, I saved it in the packet folder, not there. Those are old slides, the ones with the spreadsheets are in the
Actually,
packet
they
folder.
were really accurate.
Oh, good.
We're all good
I
there.
had the spreadsheet summaries in the other one, but I put it in the packet file. That's okay.
That's okay. We're all good. Let's take a quick look at those though. Let me just go on packet. So we have 4 separate capital projects funds, 40, which can check the TIP 1, 41, 42, and 44. 41, smart with facilities, was they have to do with buildings, 42 is streets, and 44 is utilities. So this is for our TIP district. We talked about this before, but we are anticipating an $800,000.
It's not on the screen.
Oh, thank you. There we go. We're looking at an $800,000 budget for Barbercon Center and Weston Avenue Engineering of $100,000. Those are the projects that we're looking at using TIP funds for. At a previous meeting, it was suggested that we talk to our public works and our board and making sure that these projects are good to go. Right now, what I'm asking for is to get this approved in the budget and allow the staff to go back to the public works and talk this through. We'd like to get it into our budget that we're looking at getting published. Those are the projects, the main projects that staff are proposing for TIF 1 funds in 2020. All of this funds, the projects in TIF District Number 1 are funded by transfers from the TIF, not new funding sources. We also have 200,000 for Stonebridge Boulevard engineering. That is for the 2021 project list,
That'd be for reconstruction of the pavement on Westview.
not engineering.
Correct.
Welcome. Here's a quick summary for all our capital funds, funds 41 through 44. It has the specific revenues that we're looking at in each fund, and then the expenditures. As we said before, most of the revenues for these projects come from borrowings. We also have revenues that come from transfers from whether it's refuse and recycling fund and from lumen tax. We also have sale of equipment in these funds and grants. So for our facilities, this year we're looking at, for our 2021 budget, we're looking at our capital improvement for the Aquatic Center of $452,000 and the municipal center of $13.8. Yellow Banks at $175 and Kennedy Park at $64.
Question.
Yes.
The Village Hall outlay, it says engineering architectural service, $13 million.
So because we don't know specifically where all those, the categories that the cost is going to fall in, we just put it all in engineering services, and then after we will expense them appropriately.
Okay, I was gonna say, if that's, wow, that's pretty expensive architect.
Yeah.
So we're assuming the project's gonna cost?
Right.
So far, so far, the building committee has not gone through it the next month and a half. I mean, it's the same thing with Yellow Banks and
Right,
Kennedy,
so
I mean, with the
these are
bathrooms and stuff too.
amounts that
Yep.
are in the CIP plan, the amounts that we're looking at borrowing for.
Mhm.
They're in the plan that Greg and others has distributed to us several times. There's our street projects. For 2021 that we're looking at is Crestwood Acres, and then the Ryan Street River Crossing. And then, as was decided in past years, we have moved $100,000 of our major maintenance to CIP. So we're borrowing for $100,000 of our major street maintenance.
Ryan Street crossing, that's the water and sewer.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Hit on 44, our equipment. Not too much this year. We got safer outlay of $478,000. Last year, we started moving police vehicles over to our CIP plan. So that has increased to $90,000 this year. We have a capital equipment budgeted at $250,000 this year, and transferred to debt service fund for our capital leases of $74,000. Any questions with our CIP?
Questions, concerns?
So I guess I'll say, as I said before, it's capital project funds, like the borrowing funds, we put everything in the plan, but as you've seen with us, we do bring it back to the committee for final walkthroughs prior to any implementation of some of these projects moving forward. Kind of like the snow boxes, they were in the plan, we brought it to the board for our final blessing of purchasing those items. Any more budget questions?
Good job.
So the next question is, do we want to try to target budget adoption at our third Monday in November?
Yes,
Yes, I don't think you
Yes.
want to get it so late that you.
yep.
Well, with that target in mind, what we will need to do is we will need to publish. We need 14 days to publish. Do we want to hold another meeting, whether it's Zoom or in person, maybe the next Monday, which is the 26th? Or do we want to say what you have is good, and then whatever Metro municipal court decides, take it out of contingency? I mean, I'm a little uncomfortable right now because I can't tell you the tax rate. I do not have the state finalized assessed value, so I can't tell the tax rate. We kind of have a general idea of what the tax rate is. But at this point, we do not have it. As I said before, it's higher than previous years. It's,
Are we expecting any time?
well, it's just like 36 cents. Share.
You're talking November adoption or the October 26th?
So October 26th would be a chance for everyone to see what the final is going to be published in the paper.
Right.
Any final numbers, any decisions. You know, right now, this is just a proposed budget. We can change anything right now. Everest Metro is meeting tomorrow.
Tomorrow night?
Yep.
We don't anticipate any big changes there. We have talked with Clay, we're pretty comfortable with what we got from him. Right now,
Safer's finished.
and Sabres.
Yep.
So are we happy with what is being presented here? Or do we want to dig in further and wait for the final tax rate, the final approval?
Finance first?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, does anybody in finance have any concerns or
I
questions?
guess the question I have is that, can we approve the budget as you're presenting, and then you have to then possibly change the rate based upon what the state comes to, am I correct?
Yeah, the only thing that's gonna change is our assessed tax rate. The
Right.
estimate tax rate is done.
Right,
That looks pretty favorable. We're up 7 cents on it.
right. So,
We're not changing the total expenditures. Everything is gonna stay there.
Right.
Anything that Everest Metro would need would be taken out of contingency.
okay.
Is it out of their contingency?
No, out of our contingency. If they come back and say the village needs to pay this, and we have 14,000 budgeted, they want 16, the 2,000 is coming out of contingency.
Okay. In the past, I know that the Metro PD had a reserve that they used to tap in on a regular basis to cut down
So
on.
we are continuing to do that, and at this time, it's the operations that we're looking at. We have a set amount that they're looking at using from fund balance.
Okay,
We don't think the recommendation is to use anymore. It's just a little tweaking in the,
very lean right now?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And we can still, if we have questions, to,
So with that, I move that we approve the budget.
So this is not, you're not necessarily approving the budget, you're approving that I can publish this as is right now.
That's what I want to.
Okay.
I thought I heard you say that, Bob.
Yeah, exactly. Word for word.
Word for word.
motion by Bender,
I'll second that.
second by Simmons. On the question, we can still change things in there,
You
right?
can
Right.
change it right up to where the.
Because
the
I
board
still have
will
issues
select
on
Right.
that issue.
Yep.
Right.
budget adoption. It just gives me permission to get it published in the paper
Right.
to meet
Right.
our timeline.
Right.
Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Same for BOT. Looking for a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Feeny,
I'll second.
second by Minell. On the discussion?
I know that I saw it in there, but I'm sure you can find it faster than I can. What was the estimated increase for Everest Metro?
Like 34, 32?
Yeah.
Yeah.
30, yeah.
I thought it was.
Yeah, it's on my, So,
Mhm.
32,705.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Nate?
Yep.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Zong. Opposed, so carried.
Okay. Let's see, where am I here? Number 7, policy issues. Selection of village auditor for years ending 2020 to 2022.
So they sent a request for proposals for our audit contract. They summarized the responses that we got. We got responses from 3 firms. They were all very, very competitive. We should have put less than what we're paying. So when Hawkins bid on it, the 26.8 was the price that we paid for a 2019 audit. So they actually held that firm, which was pretty good. But then we got the other 2 in, and they actually were below that. So. All firms are good. So Kerber Rose is the auditors for West Metro. Baker Tilly, they do the city of Stormwater. And Hawkins Ash is who we have currently.
Baker Tilly's not who we switched from Weston before?
Yes, Clifton Weston. So there are 2 firms that we cannot have bid on our projects. One is CLA, and the other one is Whitley. Whitley is Todd Hecknor, who's on our CDA committee. They didn't feel comfortable doing the audit with him, and then I have an immediate relationship to CLA.
Okay. And currently we're with Hawkins.
Yes. Any recommendations?
You are not recommending anybody, are you? No, okay. So finance is first.
Okay, yeah, what are your thoughts here? I'm just looking at these and,
You know, that
Mark, do you want to share your thoughts on the West Metro auditor?
Well, I almost felt a little biased, but I am extremely impressed with Kerber Rose.
Yeah.
Extremely. And I almost feel a little biased, but my gosh, look at that difference. It's unbelievable.
How can you say no?
Huh?
How can you say no?
Well, but I mean, they do a super job for us. I know the team here enjoys working back and forth with them. And they share major kudos about these 2 right here, big time. And they do very well. So that's my thought. They're there, they represent themselves, they go through the entire audit with the whole committee, and I know we're very pleased over there.
I just look at the price-wise. I don't know how.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you could even ignore the price, being that they are a qualified firm.
I actually thought Kerber was doing this already. That's why I had to ask you again, because I thought, well, since they're doing it already, it's just gonna be so easy to dovetail in for another 3 years. Yet they're not, and Hawkins is. And they're actually lower than what they just charged us.
All right.
By how much, you said?
So the current price for our 2019 audit was $26.8.
Okay.
From your standpoint, when we changed auditors last time, was a lot of work on your part as far as that went, or do you pretty much have everything that together, so it's not?
So each audit firm is different. Like Hawkins had a few audit programs that we had to go through and redo. For the West Metro, it's obviously hard to say because they're so small, but yeah, we'll have to redo some audit programs. Not too big of a deal. I mean, for me, it's also the cost too. It's hard to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, true, but the fact is, if you're spending X amount of time in there, that equates into how many thousands of dollars, and then you're having not do something else,
Right.
that's always, it's an opportunity cost type of thing, so. So
I guess
we're
I'm
just
not
asking
concerned
is,
that
you know.
We're not too concerned with the initial work that's required.
Okay,
That's a 30% savings.
so, anyway,
Yeah.
so,
What is the,
so my recommendation would be to go with Kerber Rose.
Okay, motion by Bender,
Second.
second by Simmons. On the question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now, village.
Same motion for BOT. Looking for a
Motion to.
motion by Ermeling, second by Ziegler. Anything on the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Okay.
Thank you.
Review and possible action on using 2020 budget surplus to reduce safer deficit.
So quick overview, right now we owe $383,000 for savers deficit from previous years. Yet we're looking at having a pretty healthy fund balance. We did apply $60,000 to the 2020 budget. I'm looking at approval to use what's left over, more or less. Say, if we get to a point in February and say this is what our surplus is looking at, to use that to pay off the safer. The reason I'm looking at that is because, well, first of all, our policy is being met. We have 34.7% of our fund balance when our policy is between 20 and 33. This will also help with our expenditure restraint moving forward. We've never budgeted for this payment back, and we really should start. We've been really fortunate. It's just kind of fit in their operations, and we didn't have to budget a separate expense. If we have to budget a separate expense, that could possibly push us over the expenditure restraint program. So I'm a little hesitant to really be budgeting that. It kind of sucks to be not qualify for that because we owe this. So the goal is to pay it down and then maybe take that final amount after the pay down, divide it by 5 years. We are in no commitment to really pay it back. Your mountain's doing 5 years, I think we should do 5 years too, but if we pay a larger sum up front, I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay.
I understand, or you can correct me, that expenditure restraint funds didn't count in joint efforts for,
Not true.
not true.
I tried, and I got shot down.
Okay. I know that came out a couple of years ago that that would be exempt from the expenditure restraint program.
So what you have to do is make sure that your fire department doesn't go over, their budget increase doesn't go over CPI.
So their budget has to be,
Yes.
okay.
And they haven't kept it over CPI for the last 2 years.
That explains it, thank you.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns from the finance on this? The recommendation?
We will bring final numbers back to you. We just want to see if this is what we can plan on doing with our balance.
So we just need to recognize that this is what you plan on doing, is what, so
We're not going to
recommend.
have a dollar amount.
Right.
That's going to be later. We'll come back.
But it makes sense since our basic fund balance is at the percentage it is, use that for betterment of our overall financial situation with safer at that point. So.
My thoughts are too that you get that out. That's not something that we ever anticipated, so.
No,
Right.
and it's really tough to budget for right now.
Right.
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 So I guess the recommendation would be to go ahead and,
Right.
you want to put that in motion, just to recommend?
Also move.
By Bender?
I'll second.
Second by Carrie. On the question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
On the village board side, looking for an approval
So move.
by Minell,
Second.
second by Feeny. On the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
In your packet, you talk about the GASB 54 changes.
Yeah.
And I have a question where it talks about reserve non-spendable. It has now been changed to not available for appropriation.
We need to read what policy.
Pardon?
We need to redo that.
Well, I'm just wondering, it says not available for spending either now or in the future. It's like what?
Oh, so what you put there is your prepaids.
Okay.
So prepaids is an asset, right?
So you can't spend it for other than what it's
Right,
your pre-K.
identify.
Okay. I thought, why would you ever have a budget category with money in it that you can't spend? It doesn't make a sense to a normal, average day, non-accountant person.
Yeah.
That's where I quit reading. Yeah, when I got there, I couldn't figure it out, and I figured somebody is gonna ask that question, or someone's gonna explain it tonight.
Thank
So,
you.
yep.
Okay.
I feel better now.
Discretion is the better part of valor.
Oh, come on, Mark, step in it.
Item 9, review and possible action on 2020 capital project funds budget amendments.
Okay, so with the upcoming borrowing that we're doing, we're looking at amending our 2020 budget to more closely match with the funds that we're borrowing.
Mhm.
So that is why I presented the budget as is, and it shows where the funds are being spent. No, not 1.5 is being spent on the drain repair, it's for the whole safety building.
Mhm.
Just kind of put that in together based off our plan that we have. Just looking for official approval so we can get these officially in our books.
Okay, what's the finances cost for recommendation or denied?
Yeah. So, Finance recommends the board approve the amended budget as presented with the additional expenditure added accordingly.
By vendor?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Super. On the question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
The board, approval for the amended CIP budget as presented.
Move to approve?
Move to approve by Feeney,
Second.
second by White. On the question. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. I was waiting for ye. Okay.
Okay, item 10, discussion and possible action on tax collection procedures.
So I talked about this last time, officially, I guess I want it official, where the board/committee is gonna give us permission to keep the municipal center closed to in-person tax payments. Right now, we're closed for in-person payments for utilities. We have all our banks except for Connexus collecting for us, so we process, we send out receipts right away. The only other complaint I can imagine is, well, I'm supposed to get a refund through the years. We have pretty much limited our cash refunds to $50, $20 or less. We like to keep track of the checks and where the money's going instead of just a lot of cash back and forth. Any comments on that?
Oh, I agree.
No, I think people are getting used to,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you know,
Yep, it's the new normal.
being remote.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we're having-
finance, what's
We're
your,
having people here to vote, though?
Absentee vote, or excuse me, the
Early
20th to the 30th, you can come in and vote.
Yep.
Yep. Which, yeah. But it's a little bit closer when they do the taxes. I don't know, that's in my view.
Usually,
Right.
don't think we could space it out. I guess this year was
Yeah.
an option, but one of the concerns that we had is they're gonna want to give us utility money right away, and just being able to limit what we're collecting. Because if we're gonna collect taxes, it's a different program.
Yeah. We've eliminated the cash box already in spring, and all the different things, and the banks would love the traffic, I think. They just, it's one more reason to come to a bank. But, we've been doing this now since spring, and,
most of your lobbies are not
yep,
open.
nope. You have to make appointments,
To do it.
It's all drive-through.
Okay, what is the recommendation of finance?
I'll recommend the board keep municipal center closed to in-person tax payments.
The motion is carried. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second is Keith. On the question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Village Board, same approval or motion?
I'll move to approve.
Move to approve by Feeney,
Second.
second by Ziegler. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Okay, next finance committee meeting will be Monday, October 26th at 4:30. That'll be a joint meeting.
Is that, do we want to keep that meeting? That's the one that we're gonna, we just got approval, so we necessarily don't need that meeting. What we can
Okay.
do is send out a copy, after we have it, of what we're gonna publish, and if people want an in-person meeting, we can call a special meeting, give me adequate notice.
So really, we've actually covered this stuff
Covered the-
tonight.
Yeah.
I say we cancel that.
Yeah,
I say we cancel it.
One
So the
less,
one in November would be
Yep.
the one where we
Yep.
could make
Right.
changes, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, then I don't see
Yeah, I think that's a good
any
idea.
reason to have the
The
26th.
third Monday in November will be our next meeting.
Right.
So we could have I think that's just the board meeting with
Yep.
finance invited.
Yep, 21st, right?
And then we'd
Yeah.
have just a finance meeting.
23rd or
On that
26th,
day.
16th?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What date, the 16th or the
The
20th?
third Monday.
Third Monday.
It's the 16th.
Oh, it is Monday, I was wrong.
And it would be the regular board meeting at
Okay,
6.
6
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
right,
Yeah.
and the finance at 4:30.
okay.
Okay.
No meetings on the 26th,
Correct the Monday.
erased from the calendar.
Mhm.
Okay,
Please.
okay, so then that, change that. Any topics for future meeting?
We're still working on policies and procedures to bring that forward.
Okay. Anything from, okay, remarks from staff? Remarks from committee members? Oh, then,
Remarks from board members? I have no announcements, Barb.
I have no announcements.
Looking for a motion to adjourn the Board of Trustees.
Move to adjourn?
Motion by Feeny, second by Manel. No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Okay, German and Finance Committee,
Move to adjourn.
motion by Simmons. Second by Carey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right. We adjourned at 6:02.
6:02.